All right, YouTube, welcome back to another video. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate your support. We are getting closer and closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark. And I'm already thinking about some sort of giveaway to help us celebrate. Now, let's talk about it. Z Fold 4, we are in January of 2023. A lot of people are still probably debating on whether or not to pick up this device or get a different foldable or hold out altogether and wait for the Z Fold 5, which we have already started hearing rumors about. I will admit I am super excited about some of the rumors I've heard, which making the hinge different and allowing for the crease to be reduced, as well as some sort of silo to put in this device for the S Pen. So those are just some of the rumors for the Z Fold 5. And yes, I do plan on picking it up if those things come to fruition. But for those that are still on the fence and maybe thinking, you know, should I pick up a Z Fold 4 in 2023? And it's really going to depend on what device you currently have. So I know I've said in other videos about the Z Fold 3 being a super solid device, and if you own that device, there was no real reason to upgrade to the Z Fold 4 in the moment. So if you have a Z Fold 3 and you're thinking of staying with a foldable, I would say hold off and wait for the Z Fold 5. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, you want to try out one of those imported devices that I've reviewed on this channel. Those are really nice if you're looking to switch up your hardware. But again, I would say at least hold off until the Z Fold 5 drops, because I really expect Samsung to step up their hardware game. And then it's going to make it tougher for those other Chinese phones to compete, especially for those of us living in the US. So more to come on that. We'll see what happens in the future. Now, as far as this device here, so say you don't have a Z Fold 3. I would say this is a super solid device to switch over to. So maybe you have even an iPhone and you're thinking, hey, my iPhone is boring. It's time for something new. I would say to really give this a consideration, because it really gives you so many more options, right? But before we get to the positives, I guess I'll start out with some of the cons. We'll do pros and cons of this device. One of the cons could be this small outer display. All right, so some people love it, some people hate it, some people just deal with it. I would say it's great for one-handed use. So a lot of people do use this thin outer display, and it works out well for them. Now, another con would be, and I kind of already mentioned it, I'm hoping that they have it in the Fold 5, but not having a place to store your S Pen. So they did a pretty good job on this model that they didn't do on the Fold 3. They have this situation here on the back where you can kind of slide out a piece, which is the kickstand, and kind of slide in this option for the S Pen. Now, this is better than what we've had in the past, but it's still not the best. So if they can figure out a way to get this inside the device, yes, it may make it a little bit thicker, but it may also add to the battery life, which is never a bad thing. But just having somewhere to store this pen in the device, and then it gives it Bluetooth options, so that would be huge. So if you guys aren't familiar with using a Galaxy Note phone with the Bluetooth option, you could kind of use your S Pen. You can take pictures. So if you're holding your phone out and you have like a group of people, you can just click the button to take a picture. You can click or double click the button for different functionality. I use it a lot in the summertime when I want to control my music. So just holding an S Pen and being able to switch to a different track, super helpful. So I want to see that built into the device. I know you can do it on the S Pen Pro, but that pen is even bigger. So if they can find a way to implement and get that S Pen inside the device, that would be very helpful. Maybe it doesn't have to be as thick as this one, but I don't want it as thin as the one that comes with the Note devices or the S22s of the world. Now, another con, I guess, is this deep crease. So this keeps a lot of people from getting a foldable device. The crease kind of, it is annoying, but the more you use the device and you're looking at it head on like this, you don't pay it as much attention. Yes, there's a little groove here when you're running the finger across it, but it's not something that you can't get used to. Another con would be this device is very expensive without any deals. So if you're looking to buy this thing retail, and depending on your storage option, this is the 512 model. So I want to say the 512 is around $1,900 or so, maybe even a little more than that. So I'd never recommend you get these things when they're regular price. Don't pay retail price for it. There's a lot of good deals out there. You can even get Amazon Renewed. I've seen it as low as $9.99, which is a great price for this device, especially here in 2023. Now, so those are some of the cons. So some of the pros for those thinking about picking up this device. So very, very solid battery life. So they really stepped their game up. They improved the battery from the Fold 3 to this Fold 4. So it does make it, in my opinion, an all-day device. So you get some really good screen on time with the device. So I think you have to charge it less than what you did with the Fold 3. So improved battery is great. The screens are always fantastic on Samsung. It is no different here on this device. I absolutely love this screen. Colors pop. Super AMOLED, 120 hertz. Fantastic. I have nothing bad to say about the screen quality. Great speakers on this device. So if you're coming from something that's not a foldable, you will enjoy the speakers here. And I love the placement, having one at the top, one at the bottom. So when you kind of turn this thing sideways, the speakers are phenomenal, especially when you're doing some gaming or just watching YouTube videos and things like that. Excellent software. So they did add the taskbar, so you can definitely do some really good multitasking let's take that away. You can really do multitasking, and it comes in handy where you can do split screen. I know that is a concern if you get the Chinese phone, where you typically can only do 2 screens vertically and not always horizontally. I know there are some workarounds for that, but nobody, in my opinion, does it better than Samsung right now as far as software goes. So software is always going to be a plus, and it just enables you to do more and get more done, especially if you're coming from just a slab device. So having this bigger canvas is definitely a plus, which also brings in the S Pen, which is a great addition. What is the point of having all this screen real estate if you don't really take advantage of it? The S Pen is great when you just want to maneuver around the device as well. So you can kind of keep it free of fingerprints, which it will be a fingerprint magnet. But if you get used to kind of, oh man, I love this feature. This is such a great thing. This is another advantage of having the Samsung software here, having the Google News or Google Now or whatever you want to refer to it as, just being able to swipe over and have that. You don't get that on the Chinese devices, so the software definitely is there. And just having this extra suite for the S Pen just adds to this device, where you can do screen capture, screen write, you can create GIFs or GIFs or whatever you want to call them. You got your notes right there, your fingertips. You can draw. I'm not an artist, so don't ask me about that piece of it, but from what I hear, you can do some great illustrations with this S Pen. So the suite is there for the S Pen, and most of the Chinese phones are going to lack that ability for pen input. I do know that the Oppo the Oppo Find N2 has added the Oppo Pen or whatever. Also the Honor Magic VS I know has some pen input, but I have yet to see that device get released with the pen input. So that'll be interesting to see what they're bringing to the forefront as far as competing with Samsung. Water resistance is something else that you don't get on the other foldable devices. Samsung has kind of got that locked down, so hopefully that continues on the Z Fold 5, but you do get it here on the Fold 4. You don't get the dust resistance, so don't take this thing to the beach and start tossing it around, but water resistance, you'll be safe there. Accessories, there are so many different cases and things now that you can take advantage of. Right now I'm really happy with just having this kickstand option, and then having the other slot where I could just store the S Pen. but there's so many different options on Amazon, eBay that you can do accessories with. So that is another huge advantage. So if you're coming from a different device, you know, if you're coming from an iPhone, you know, there's a ton of accessories for iPhones, probably the most. But Samsung devices aren't far behind as far as accessories go. And the last thing I will say that is a huge pro for a device like this is the resale and trade-in value that Samsung gives you. So, for example, if you do end up picking this thing up here in 2023, which I do recommend, I will still recommend this device. It's plenty capable and it is future-proof. You know, they have great storage options and things of that nature, the RAM and the storage. But definitely the trade-in value that Samsung gives you for this device. So I would say once the Z Fold 5 drops, and if you own the Z Fold 4, they will give you at least $1,000 for this device as a trade-in. All right, and they also offer up, you know, like free earbuds at times, or like a Samsung watch or something to that effect. So there's always a great trade-in offered by Samsung. And you don't really get that on other devices. You definitely don't get your money's worth when you have an Apple device trying to trade it in. They give you something, but you're better off just reselling an Apple device. As far as like the Chinese phones, you don't really get any trade-in options. You just have to, you know, kind of find somebody that's looking for that particular device. You can usually get or recoup some of your money back. I have sold a lot of my Chinese devices, like on Swappa and things like that. But there's nothing like having the resell or the trade-in value of a Samsung device, especially these Fold devices. So if you can pick this thing up, I may not recommend you trying to go after a brand new one right now unless you get a really good deal. But I would say Amazon Renewed is always a great option. Like I said, if you only spend $1,000 on this thing, and then several months down the line, you know, we're talking August hits, and then the Z Fold 5 comes up, you can just use your device, trade it in. You don't really lose anything on it. So those are my opinions. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was informative, and you know, let me know below if it is something that you are considering. All right, until the next one. Peace.